Hey everyone. Uh, just woke up to some news that you never want to hear, and that's that one of your childhood heroes passed away. Um, I'm of course talking about Chyna. She was a great wrestler. And yes, she was a wrestler. I'm not going to be using that BS term that Vince McMahon uses to describe the people who work for him. I'm not going to call her a sports entertainer. I'm not going to call her an actor. She was a wrestler. She was an athlete who was a hero to millions of young children and young girls all around the world, and just an inspiration to so many people who have wanted to be involved in this industry, because when she first burst onto the scene, you saw this girl who just had muscles on muscles on muscles, and you thought, how could a female look like that and compete with the big boys? And she wasn't the normal diva that the pile of filth known as Vince McMahon would put out, that was just a slab of meat out there on display to participate in his filthy bikini contests. No, she was a wrestler, and she inspired so many young girls to get involved in the industry and to get lifting weights and to live a healthier lifestyle. And I was speaking on Vince McMahon earlier. He's the guy who basically runs the show over there. Due to what he's done to the integrity of the industry by not calling it what it is, and by not calling the people who work for him what they are, by not calling it wrestling, and by not calling the people who participate in it wrestlers, he's caused this misconstrued idea amongst several people that, wrestling doesn't hurt. And it does hurt. And that's the part that just blows me away, is that due to the things that Vince McMahon has said, and the things that Vince McMahon has done to the integrity of the industry, people don't think it hurts. And so many superstars or wrestlers have retired due to neck, spine, brain injuries, knee injuries, leg injuries, and even have succumbed to the mental just torture that goes on in their minds. When you look at Chris Benoit, you know what happened with Chris Benoit back in 2007, and Vince doesn't even want people mentioning his name anymore, which is just pure filth, because Chris Benoit was one of the greatest technicians and one of the greatest pioneers in the history of this industry. And 40 is no age for a wrestler to die, and 46 is no age for a great person to die, like Chris Benoit and Chyna. Chris Benoit was 40 when he succumbed to injuries that he sustained during his wrestling career. And due to that, Vince McMahon does not want his name mentioned. He doesn't want his accomplishments mentioned. He's been wiped from the annals of wrestling in the WWE forever. And Chyna, due to the fact that she was in a relationship with the COO of the company back in the late 90s, and that ended badly. That he's made up BS excuses as to why she will never make the Hall of Fame. And it's just, dang. And again, you look back at what Chyna did for the industry. She was the first female Royal Rumble entrant, which was huge. She was the first ever female Intercontinental Champion, and I believe still the only female Intercontinental Champion. And back in 1999, before her relationship with Triple H, a.k.a. the COO, ended badly, she was scheduled to be the first ever female WWF champion. And you just think about that, and 7-year-old me, who was really into wrestling at the time, secretly. My family's never really liked it, but I was into wrestling sort of in the background, and seeing Chyna and everything that she did and hearing about her for so many years, you really you just respect that, and I've literally got like goosebumps and chills up and down my arm. But today's a sad day. For anyone who's a fan of the industry, for anyone who's a fan of wrestling. I'm not going to call it that BS name, sports entertainment, whatever Vince McMahon decides to call it. I'm not going to call them, sports entertainers or actors like Vince McMahon wants you to call them. I'm going to call them wrestlers. And one of the greats has just passed away, and I'm sure this is going to be a wake-up call for several people involved in the industry, and for divas involved or women involved in this industry, because they've just revamped the women's division, and they've had this big divas revolution or women's revolution, and it's unfortunate that Chyna, the greatest women wrestler, the greatest woman wrestler of all time, won't be around to see that come to fruition. And she doesn't get the plaudits that she deserves. She doesn't get the credit that she deserves. And I don't want this to be a Macho Man Randy Savage situation, because Macho Man passed away in 2011, and he wasn't inducted into the Hall of Fame until 2015, because of the various issues that he had with several members of the WWE over his career. And I don't want that to happen to Chyna. I don't want her legacy to have to wait until like 2019 or 2020 to be inducted in the Hall of Fame. Hell, she should have been inducted in the Hall of Fame when she was still alive. But unfortunately that's not going to happen. I do feel like she should be inducted in the Hall of Fame. I feel like she deserves it. But yeah, sad news today. Joanie Laurer, a.k.a. Chyna, passes away late last night at the age of 45.